Animal Park is to strengthen a commitment to wildlife conservation throughout the world and to strive towards man's own survival through the preservation of nature. Where does a 600-pound gorilla sleep? Anywhere she wants to, and there are no better digs than right here.
Well, we're back at Carlsbad Raceway for the CMC Dodge Truck Golden State Nationals. I'm Paul Page with Steve Evans, and the quads are ready to run.
And with the quads, you hear a lot more talk about tires than you do on the motorcycles. Earlier, Paul had a look at the kind of tire technology involved.
Tires, of course, are critical in all forms of racing, certainly in the ATV4s. This is Jim Putman's Suzuki. Now, normally, this machine would come with this particular tire mounted as an all-terrain tire. But then they borrow some technology from the sprint cars as they run on the dirt. That is, they make the tire much more narrow. That is to make the steering run easier. They also have a wider diameter tire, so it's taller, so it goes in and out of the bumps easier and gets over the course easier. Then at the back, again, this is where the power is laid down. About 10 pounds of tire pressure. It moves back and forth as the tire goes through the dirt in the corners. Because of that, it has a tendency to completely roll off the rim. So they build the rim up, even to the point of, again from the sprint cars, the bead block to keep the tire on the rim as it races.
Well, Marty Hart, closest to our camera, he hopes his tires stay on the rims of his new Honda machine. The gate falls towards them. They don't dare try to cheat it. Now, there's a different kind of danger here. These are like open-wheel race cars, Indy cars, Formula One cars. If you get tire to tire, somebody's going to flip, Paul Page.
Well, Donnie Banks jumps off into the lead, but unlike the bikes, it's a lot narrower system that you have to get through here just simply because everybody else is so much wider. It seems like we've got a group of guys here who can't decide, do they want to race cars or do they want to race on the bikes?
Well, one thing they figured out, they're all in their mid to late 20s, and the motorcycles were starting to ride them. And this is just a nice place for them to go. It's not quite as physically demanding, but certainly takes the same level of skill.
It's nice to have these ATV4s come along because it does create yet another area for a rider to go. When he's done with riding on the motocross circuit on the two wheels, he gets a little older, his physical conditioning deteriorates a little bit. Now he can run the ATV4.
It extends his career because the factories are just as interested in winning here as they are with the bikes. They're selling a lot of these vehicles.
Donnie Banks leads it. Jimmy White second. Ron Beebe is third. Rodney Fowler fourth. Jim Putman is fifth. And Jeff Watts runs along in sixth now.
And Donnie Banks is on one of those Hondas. Suzuki, as I mentioned earlier, they had the whole field covered last year, but now some other manufacturers have entered the fray. And look, Paul, a little sprint car action going on out there. They like to slide them a bit.
Nice little fight there for fifth between Jim Putman on 12 and 46L. That's Jeff Watts. Now watch Watts as he is really beginning to pour on the power.
He's a 24-year-old rider from Anaheim, California, on a Suzuki. Now up front, number 31W, Jimmy White, he's running second with his Suzuki. In front of him is a Honda, Donnie Banks, and behind him, number 25, Ron Beebe, also a Honda. So a great showing by that new machine.
In fact, Steve, if you look at the top six, 3 are Suzuki, 3 are Honda. So they're spaced well, currently being led by Donnie Banks. There he is, that D4. It is a Honda machine, followed by the Suzuki of Jimmy White.
And a totally different sensation for these drivers as they try to fly those machines. They don't want to fly them if they can help it, Paul. They'd like to keep that wheel on the ground all the time. But some of these jumps are so steep and have a lip that you just can't avoid it.
The battle for first place. You're watching first, second, and third, as despite the fact they don't want to get in the air, indeed, the way this course is laid out, you have very little choice in some places.
I'll tell you, a rider of one of these ATV4s is just as tired as a two-wheel rider when he gets off that course. It's that tough. I think it takes a little more arm strength maybe to move these machines around.
As they continue to work their way around the circuit here at Carlsbad, no change at the top of the field. It is still Donnie Banks leading it. But let's go back a little bit in the field and take a look at the battle for fourth place. Coming off of the ledge, that's Rodney Fowler, 14F, and he's being chased by the 46L machine. That is Jeff Watts. It's a battle for fourth.
You know, another place in Southern California you'll find these ATV4s is on small speedway motorcycle flat tracks like Costa Mesa and Ascot. And boy, they have a great time with them there, just much like you would an oval track race car. There's Rodney Fowler. He's got a big grin on his face. We took that picture. I don't know about now, though.
Not with Jeff Watts, 46, right behind him. Watts comes up on the outside. It's going to drive Fowler. He comes down the outside as they come down the freeway. He pulls alongside. Can he hold him? He gets to the inside of the corner, but Fowler still holds him off. And now 46, Jeff Watts moves along and picks up fourth.
One thing you do notice with the ATV4s, Paul, is their speed is greatly reduced from the two-wheelers, and that's an added safety factor for them.
So currently running in 4th place is 24-year-old Jeff Watts. And here in the ATV4s, most of the riders are 24, 25, 26 years old. Back to the front of the field once again. It is still Donnie Banks, and Jimmy White is right there knocking on the back door with Ron Beebe running in 3rd place. Jimmy White tried desperately to get up and get around Donnie Banks. Machine's a little bit wider, so Banks can use his machine to try and block out the charge of White.
There's a temptation here for me to call these riders, but anytime you're on 4 wheels, as far as I'm concerned, you're a driver. So look how these drivers slide all over that machine, using their weight specifically in the turns to try to gain traction to drive around them.
Well, Steve, you may have pointed out the one key difference between a rider and a driver, and that is these lads aren't attached to the machines by any sort of seatbelt or safety system, so maybe they're really riders.
And to contradict myself, maybe to be a driver, you have to have a steering wheel and not handlebars.
Whatever they are exciting to watch as we look back to see the 46 machine of Jeff Watts as he continues with that battle. Rodney Fowler trying to take 4th place away.
You know, the last thing you would want on a machine like this would be seatbelts. You'd want to get away from it if you get in trouble.
Looking back to the front of the field once again, it is Donnie Banks that leads. Jimmy White 2nd, Ron Beebe 3rd, Jeff Watts is 4th, Rodney Fowler is 5th. We'll be back with more from Carlsbad right after this.
Right.